You are watching Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next is the August 8th, 2023 meeting of the Michigan City Board of Zoning Appeals. You can find more information for this meeting by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org.
Good evening, everyone. It is Tuesday, August 8th, 2023. It's 6:03, and this is the regular meeting of the Michigan City Board of Zoning Appeals. Ms. Collins, would you do the roll, please?
Jackson,
Present.
Mr. Klinder. Mr. Jackson,
Still present.
Mr. Klinder,
Here.
Ms. Stransky. Here. Ms. Vance.
Present.
Mr. Zimmer.
Here.
So ends your roll call.
Thank you. Next item would be to approve the minutes from the June 13th meeting. If there are no objections or changes, I'll take a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
I'll call for the vote. Mr. Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Klinder,
Yes, very well run meeting, by the way.
you did. You ran it well. Ms. Stransky,
Yes.
Ms. Vance,
Yes.
and you weren't here, so.
Right, I'll abstain.
Minutes approved.
Thank you.
No problem.
So our first item this evening is the petition 103B 103-23, Raising Cane's Restaurants. Who's here to speak to that petition?
Are you both going to speak? Yeah.
Please state your name and address, please.
Sarah Holmes.
Speak into the mic clearly so we can hear you. Thanks.
Sarah Holmes, 295 Luna Lane, Erie, Colorado.
Tom Safransky, 4201 Winfield Road, Warrenville, Illinois.
Thank you. So what would you like to tell us about your petition?
I'm here on behalf of Raising Cane's as their property development manager. We are very excited about the location at 5000 Franklin Street. It used to be a former Buffalo Wild Wings. We are proposing to have a new construction. It is a prototypical Raising Cane's. So the exterior has quality finishes. We're looking at about 73 interior occupancy and 37 exterior occupancy on our patio. We do put quite a lot of efforts into the site layout, the landscaping, signage. We want to create something beautiful for this community. So Raising Cane's, if you're not sure who or what Raising Cane's is, it was founded in 1996 by Todd Graves in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. It serves just one Love quality meal, which comprises of quality chicken fingers. We have crinkle cut fries, Texas toast, and Raising Cane sauce. The drive-through is pretty quick for industry standards. We average 2 minutes and 28 seconds. It is very quick. So we have employees that go out during peak hours and do mobile tablet orders to help expedite. You'll see there is a double drive-through lane to help with that efficiency and flow. During Cane's grand opening, we have National Security Service, ODS, that provides on-site mitigation, and it helps to navigate and help with traffic flow and pedestrian access to the building. So we use those. We don't have a set time limit. We have that company out there as long as it takes to help with traffic concerns during that initial grand opening and honeymoon period. We are open 7 days a week. Our hours of operation are Sunday through Thursday from 9 a.m. to 1:30 a.m. And then from Friday and Saturday, it continues to stay open past that till 3:30 a.m. We do have a lot of business during later hours, but we do also have microphones and speakers that help with the noise. They're auto functions where they can reduce down during, so it's drowns out some of the ambience and stuff. So it auto levels itself out. We have a lot of maintenance that happens with our shift managers, walking our site, making sure it's clean, making sure there's no repairs that are needed. So you're going to see a building that's very well taken care of, that is part of this community. We love to, put the name of the city that we're going in and feature some of the interior decorations with the local football team and give back to those groups. We do a lot of community give backs as far as charity to the local football or a pet animal shelter, a children's hospital. So Canes wants to be part of this community.
Russ?
Okay, thanks. Sylvia, why don't you give your report, and then are you going to read the attorney report
I
too?
am.
Okay.
I'm gonna do my best to be the attorney tonight.
Okay, good.
My reading is gonna be long, so you can have a seat if you want. Report on petition for B-103-23 500 Franklin Street.
5,000.
5,000. I'll correct that. 5,000 Franklin Street. The water department had no objections. Sanitary department had no objections to this project. Fire department recommended to move forward with approval. However, they would like to see the final designs for the driveway if they so change at any point in any time. Currently, they are okay with what designs they have seen so far. The petitioner is requesting a special exemption to develop a quick serve restaurant with a drive-through at 5,000 Franklin Street in Michigan City, Indiana. Zoning ordinance. The property is zoned B2 general commercial. The requirements. Zoning ordinance 07.02 use land and or building in this district may be used for this purpose by obtaining a special exemption approval when all applicable standards cited in Article 24 Special Exemption Review requirements and procedures subjected to the requirements set out in Section 114.06B. Requested. The petitioner is requesting a special exemption to develop a quick serve restaurant with a drive-through at 5,000 Franklin Street, Michigan City, Indiana. The existing structure will be demolished and the newly built structure will have a drive-through. Our regulations state that a special exemption use is required to allow a drive-through in a B2 district. The zoning ordinance lay out specific rules as to what is allowable for a restaurant with a drive-through service under Section 14.06B. The proposed designs meet those requirements. The standards for a special exemption use are found in Zoning Code Section 24.04B and are set out below in italics with the department's proposed findings. The department's findings. Number 1, general welfare. The proposed will not be injurious to the public health, safety, and general welfare of the community. The proposed development will not cause any threats to public health, moral, or general welfare for the established proposed use. The existing structure is currently a restaurant that will be demolished and rebuilt into a new restaurant of the same standards. The proposed development shall follow all regulations that are required when building a new structure. The proposed will continue to function as a restaurant, which is allowable in this district. Number 2, surrounding properties. The special exemption use will not be injurious to the enjoyment of other properties in the immediate vicinity for the proposed already permitted, nor substantially diminish or impair properties values within the neighborhood. Granting the special exemption use will not be injurious, as the proposed development will continue to follow all the same standards as existing structures surrounding it. Allowing the drive-through will improve the efficiency of the restaurant by cutting down on traffic patterns. The design has the potential to provide safe and effective traffic circulation for its patrons. The site is zoned for B2, and the proposed development will be following all B2 regulations set forth in our zoning ordinance for a drive-through restaurant. Number 3, hazards. The special use shall not be hazardous or to adjacent properties or involve use, activities, materials, or equipment that will be detrimental to the health, safety, or welfare of the person or properties through the excessive production of traffic, noise, smoke, or odor, fumes, or glare. Allowing the special use will not be any more impactful than what the site currently allows on the property. The zoning ordinance lays out specific rules as to what is allowable for a restaurant with a drive-through service, as established under 14.06B. The proposed development meets all requirements established under this section. Public facilities and services. The use will be served adequately by essential public facilities and services such as highway, streets, police, fire, and drainage structures, water, sewage facility, reuse, disposal, and schools. The petitioner shall provide adequate use to access adequate utilities, access roads, drains, and other necessities for the site improvements. With a new development, the new structure will implement all developmental regulations set forth by the existing ordinance. Developmental requirements. The development of the property will be consistent with the intent of the development requirement established by the ordinance for similar use. The development will be designed, constructed, operated, and maintained to be compatible with and not significantly alter the existing or intended character of the general vicinity based upon the county land development and ordinance. Approval of this special exemption will not adversely impact or alter the existing pattern of development for the surrounding area. The development will align with the overall intent of the county and comprehensive plan, as well as the city zoning ordinance. Ordinance intent. Granting a special exemption use will not be contrary to the general purpose served by the ordinance and will not permanently injure the other properties or used in the same zoning district or vicinity. With acceptance of the recommendations, approval of this special exemption will not permanently alter the pattern of the development of the surrounding areas. County Land Development Plan. The proposed use will be consistent with the character of the zoning district in which it is located and the recommendations of the County Land Development Plan. With acceptance of the recommendations, the request this special exemption use will be consistent with the character and intent as set forth by the existing zoning ordinance and comprehensive land development plan. Use regulations. Where there is use-specific regulations contained in Article 14, the special exemption shall comply with all regulations. The regulations are Section 7.02 of our zoning ordinance provided that restaurants with drive-through services are eligible for approval as a special exemption use, provided that the requirements of Section 14.06B meet these requirements are as follows. Number 1, the drive-through facility shall be located on rear elevation of the building to minimize visibility from the public or private roadways. This site shall be oriented so that the driving lanes and pickup windows are prominent features of the building, which they have complied. Number 2, the drive-through services shall be screened from adjacent resident land use by a solid screen wall in accordance with section 17.03, such as it will not impact the use and enjoyment of the residents. It is in a B2 district and residents aren't adjacent. So they comply. Number 3, clear identification and delineation between drive-through facilities and parking lots should be provided. They have an exit site, so they have the drive-through and then you can like go around it in case you like, I don't want Raising Cane's anymore. So they comply. Number 4, there shall be a minimum of 10 stacked spaces. They comply. Each drive-through facility shall provide a escape lane, allowing other vehicles to pass those waiting to be served. Number 6, only one access shall be provided on any street. They comply. Where the restaurant is constructed adjacent to other commercial use, a direct vehicular access connection shall be established with adjoining properties. They comply. Recommendations from the planning department. The department recommends approval of B-103-23 special exemption use with the following conditions. The petitioner shall follow all requirements of section 7.02 of our zoning ordinance. The petitioner shall follow requirements of section 14.06 of our zoning ordinance. The petition shall follow all requirements of section 19.03, 19.04, and 19.06 of our zoning ordinance. They lay out as follows. The petitioner shall complete a landscaping plan and to be submitted to the planning department, which is pretty much at the end of your project. The planning department does not, however, recommend letter D and J on site plan of Raising Cane signage. The pole sign is the proposed drawings. Cut sheet does not meet the sign code for section 19.04. The permitted sign as a maximum size allowable is 72 square feet per side. Based on the drawings, the per side calculation is above 72 square feet. Attached to the pole sign is electric chargeable message sign, which measures about 17.44 square feet, which is under section. I'll explain in better detail what I'm talking about because I know it sounds a little jumbled. Section 19.06, general provisions for a permitted sign, electric chargeable message sign that are generated shouldn't be more than 12 square feet in area, shall not be located within 600 feet. Any other electric charging sign message gathered in 12 square feet area. The sign is less than 600 feet from the electric charging station, the Patrick Grill property, which is larger than 12 square feet. In section 19.03, signs not required permits. The definition is identified as a mural. A mural shall be allowable and provided not that it has no text in referencing to the commercial property or its logo identifying commercial representation. Under the description of mural that has been displayed is now a sign, which in this case is not regulated under our zoning ordinance, as it must be 100 square feet in total of all signs. So ends my report. It'd be best if you look at this one.
Do you want to do the attorney?
Yes.
Okay.
Please, okay. Attorney Hale wants me to inform you that the materials that were submitted by the petitioner and were the checklist for the petitioner. All documents on the checklist were submitted. All mailings were mailed out. Affidavits were submitted. All supporting document for property owner, including state of Delaware certification of incorporated articles of amendment. Second Amendment, First Amendment. All documents were, and the surrounding property lists were named and mailed out. Beacon overview of the property was submitted. Petitioner submitted the special exemption use finding. The affidavit of service was submitted as well. The description of the petitioner's general plan, photo survey, site plans, construction signs, engineering drawings, which all have been distributed to the committee. I'm trying to be like him, but it ain't working. Acknowledgement of notice requirements. The petitioner is requesting a special exemption use to allow a double lane drive-through to wrap around the northeast side. You all heard the report given by the planning department. You have the right, where it is, okay. You have he said to inform you guys that you have the right to approve based upon what the planning department has, the recommendations of the planning department, based upon your own recommendation, or approval without recommendations from the planning department. Those are your three methods of approval for tonight.
Okay, so just to be clear, you had several conditions that were attached.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. How many are there?
There are, for me, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, so there was like a list.
There's a list.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Any questions or comments from commission members, board members?
Can you explain a little bit more on the sign?
Yep, I will.
Can you give us a little explanation on the sign?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, so and for is letter D and J, which are the ones that we don't recommend. So for D, it is identified in Raising Cane's petition as a mural. A mural is more so a drawing that doesn't have any representation to the business. So if it didn't say Raising Cane's, it will be considered a mural, which doesn't have the same the signage requirements. But because it's not a mural, it's now a sign. So they have several different signs and all of them are calculated in total. So because of this sign is now a sign, it pushes them over, and this is too large based upon our zoning ordinance, which they have the option to, I brought Kyle's information, but they pretty much know Kyle's information. All they have to do, they have the option to shrink the signage, take the Raising Cane logo off, and then it would be considered a mural. Or ultimately just shrink it because it's too large. In essence, they have multiple signage, so holistically, this will push them over. And then the second one, which is J. So this sign it's about the signage all the way around per side, and it's too large. So that one needs to be shrink. And this sign is more than 600 feet away from this sign, which have to be calculated into that, which throws them over signage requirements for our zoning ordinance. So if they shrink it, and they will have to discuss more of the electronic, because it's more so about the electronic portion. They're both electronically lit signs. So they impact vision and things of that nature. So those are things that we look into, and why our zoning ordinance requires them to be a certain amount of feet apart from each other. So they will have to shrink that and or move this one. But they still have to shrink this one because it's still too wide. But that's basically the issue with the signs. If you have any questions, you can ask me.
I actually used to be a sign professional, so that's not quite true in that sense. That they are electronic, but the EMC has an auto dimmer, so they don't bounce off of each other.
I get that. Our zoning ordinance say that they have to be more than 600 feet apart if they are in any form of electrical. and this is, I'm not the person that you would, reach out to.
Yeah.
The petition goes to different departments in our department, and they come back with their recommendations. And our associate planner does not approve of your signage.
That's okay. We do have smaller options,
Yeah.
so if we can go ahead and hash that out, they've got
And if you
a,
choose to continue with this, it wouldn't be you would just have to have a different zone. You would have to ask for a different variance. And that's the
Yeah.
whole thing, which is why we had to make sure because it needs a variance in order to deviate from the signage regulation. And that variance wouldn't connect to this one. So we had to.
I don't want to have to continue this and take up extra time. I know that
This will still move forward regardless
Okay.
of your signage. Your signage will not impact.
we can shrink the pylon sign and remove the EMC. The mural is something that was in the first Raising Cane's
Mhm.
ever. So that throws back to the historic portion. Todd Graves, the owner, was doing the demo of his first Raising Cane's himself and uncovered a mural on the wall, and it said Red Wolf, and he just really fell in love with the aesthetic of it and decided to incorporate that on the exterior of his buildings. And it also is a great feature for being able to pull in the community and say Michigan City. So if you remove Raising Cane's, you've just got a big blank box kind of, so it doesn't really make sense then. But we do have options. I really would like this option, but if you guys want to have a smaller option, that's also a possibility. If you guys like the mural and are okay with the actual look of the mural, we do have some other sizing options. So I just wanted to point that out, really, is that we can discuss those types of things.
And you adjusting the mural smaller, you would then be able to keep it in this fashion.
Okay.
But then it wouldn't be, it's just the name. It's not, our definition of a mural is a little different. But if you shrink it, you'll come into a line with the end. Like I said, if you reach out to Kyle, he already has some suggestions and some options that you can utilize to keep what you want.
Okay.
Yeah.
How far over are they?
Not much at all.
Are we talking?
So there are requirements like 72. I think they're at like 80. So it's really not that much, but it would require a variance.
Unless they got it under the.
Unless they
70.
got it under, just at 72 or under the 72.
Okay.
So, and if they bring it down, they can still leave the name on there, everything
Yep.
just the way we see it now. It's just a little bit smaller.
Yep.
So the mural, if we're talking about mural, we don't have a 72 square foot option. That's that small.
Well, no, the mural is different sizing. We're talking
Okay.
about the standing Raising Cane's. I'm not really, I can look and see what he said, the mural.
Were you
Wait.
concerned with the mural or?
Yeah, I got it mixed up then. So the stand-up sign,
Mhm.
we got that under control. That's not gonna be, I'm sorry, that's not gonna be an issue.
Yeah.
The
If they-
mural that's on the side of the building is what is an issue.
Yes, and they will have to calculate that with Kyle more so because it's a consistency with all of these signs, the percentage of all of these signs. I could be mistaken on that, but I don't think so. So they will have to determine what size would be efficient for that sign to be there, and that would be our associate planner who would do that for them.
And you said you didn't have the 72 option on that. Is that the only size you have that?
No, ma'am. I have another size that's slightly smaller, so it's 8 foot tall and 14 foot wide, and then we have one that's 7 by 13, I believe. So that gets you towards the 84 square feet, not quite to 72.
Like I understand that you want to have the logo on each of the elevations, but like on the front, the entry elevation, you're almost like doubling up on your signage. You have the big mural And then you have the oval sign over the door. And I'm just wondering, maybe is that necessary? Maybe you could keep the mural and eliminate one of the ovals, the one that's right next to it over the door. Just an idea.
Well, that being the front entrance and that on a tower, it helps direct traffic, and I would be concerned with your visibility of people navigating to the proper entrance of your building.
Okay.
And just for verification, your signage has no contingency on your petition for tonight. But moving forward after this portion, if you want to keep those signs, these adjustments will have to take place.
Okay.
So tonight we're just talking about the drive-through.
The special exemption,
Right.
special exemption use,
Okay.
exemption use.
Any other questions or comments?
Well, okay, so we're just going through the drive-through.
Right,
Part of this is, that's all we're worried about tonight.
right.
So when we get down to if we were going to approve this, we wouldn't have to add in your part of anything to do with signage.
We would, because they included signage in these documentation. What we approved tonight is we're approving everything that was given. This document was submitted to us. So if we approve what we have, then we're saying, yes,
Yeah.
the signage is okay.
Okay,
Which
So
is why I put that in the recommendation as a condition.
okay. And then if we approve this tonight with your condition, and they wanted to move forward with the project, does she have the right, or do they have the right to come in then and ask for another variance
Mhm.
to change this so they can use their mural?
Yes, that's a part of my recommendations as well.
Okay,
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
I can understand.
Mhm.
Yeah, we are trying to move very quickly. We're anticipating breaking ground by November. So I would like to try to get this resolved tonight if possible, just for the time's sake, so we can continue forward with the project.
I don't think legally we can move anything on the sign part of it tonight without,
Well, tonight, the sign is its own variance. So tonight has nothing to do with the variance, but because the sign was submitted as as a part of all the documentations that were submitted tonight, and they were reviewed. So what we're approving is a special exemption use. And it's everything, as Attorney Hale stated, everything that was submitted to us as far as documentation. So if we submit this then without giving you parameters for the signage, we're ultimately just saying, hey, you can put that there. And then what'll happen is you'll get the developing, you'll look for permits, and then your signs will go up, and then you'll have this code enforcer out there, and then your whole project will be stopped. You get it? Because that they'll see that sign, they know the requirements, they'll know that it won't be allowed in that area, and then you'll stop what you're doing. So you want to take care of it at the beginning, and I can't take it out of my recommendations because it was submitted with all of my documentation. So
Okay.
we
So-
can move forward on the
Yeah.
drive-through, but you're gonna have to either smallen your sign or come back for a variance for the signage.
But what I'm hearing is signage is not part of your decision.
Signage is part of the documentation.
It's just a condition. So we're going to approve it, but the signage is a condition that you.
Yeah, understood.
So
And it's also up to, it's not up to us to make the decision of even whether or not you could smallen the signs or do it, because we don't have any documentation for a variance. You have to have a variance in order to deviate from our laws and or our regulations. To have a larger sign is a deviation from our ordinance, which requires a variance, which is the same reason we're here for this variance.
Yeah.
does that make sense?
Well, that's why we submitted the signage package,
right.
but yes.
Okay.
Well, my question is, if we approve for them to go ahead and move forward with that, they can be working on that while they are coming forward with a variance for the signage.
Yes.
So that doesn't stop you.
No, it does not.
Moving forward.
They can continue
Just-
development.
yes, so you can, as she said, continue with development while you're working out the signage.
Which will only be if you submit it, then you will go, it's the same process that we did with this one. It'll be the same, everything you did here. You already have the designs, but it's a different variance. It's not a special exemption use, which is why we couldn't tackle it on with this one. It is a developmental standards variance.
And we can't add that on in, they have to request it.
Mhm.
And we're talking about, is it 8 feet, 8 square feet?
It is potentially, what I do know is Attorney Hale recommended that we do not, we make sure Attorney Hale wanted these recommendations put in there because the signage was over, which means, legally, we would need a variance in order for them to put this existing signage there, which is a different variance from what we have here in front of us.
And so the total of all the signage square footage is just what's on the building?
Mhm.
It doesn't include the one on the tall
No,
one?
the tall one is just bigger than the regulations.
So they have to change that one?
They do. They
Yeah,
have to-
okay.
D and J, there are, looks like it's up to F, J. So there's multiple signs, but so you have to look at them holistically. We can't just look at one.
Right.
He needs to look at all of the signs and make sure that they represent the percentage for the entire building.
Correct. Any other questions or comments from anybody?
Comment, probably not gonna be a very popular one, but we have a company coming to Michigan City that literally we should be welcoming with open arms. And because of our zoning ordinances, you're looking at a sign that is literally about this wide by that wide, too big. And literally they could walk away.
We can't deviate from our
I understand that.
regulations.
I'm just throwing that out there. I said it wouldn't be popular.
I know, it's okay. And I clearly understand, we all understand that we're bound by these regulations. I can only recommend what I recommend, but this is a deviation from our regulation, which is what our board is here to do. It is to enforce the regulation or approve an alternative solution from the regulations. I'm not saying that if they come back that it won't be favorable. I can't determine that. I'm only here on behalf of the planning department and our attorney who agrees with our recommendations.
Just between us kids, we've had variances in size of signs previously
Mhm.
that have passed through here with no major
Mhm.
problems, right? We can't promise you what we have to live within our recommendations, but just for your verification, that has occurred before.
And that's why I wanted to ask that question. Can they move forward so that it doesn't discourage you? You know, so.
The drive-through is a separate entity.
Mhm.
See, here's the thing, if they were the same type, that could have been a possibility. You know, we could have had, it could have been under the same
Exactly.
thing, but they're different variances, so you can't connect them without, and I can't connect them because they didn't request them. And then in order to request them, you have to file the paperwork and there's a fee, so there's just multiple avenues that prevents this from being approved.
So even this One Love thing, that's included in the square footage
It's
too?
the total.
Everything that's a sign on the building?
And every other sign was, after, review of our department, was fine. And these two just weren't a sign. They weren't fine because one is identified as a mural, right? So I just want to make sure we understand that the reason why it wasn't initially calculated when they first met with us was because it was identified as a mural. If it was a mural, it can be this size. It can be what it is. However, our definition of what a mural is not this because it says Raising Cane's. So in order for it to be a mural, it cannot have any representation to the business itself. It has to be a drawing of some sort, or it could some type of quote. That's what our definition defines a mural as, which when this became now a sign, it's a sign. It's not a mural. Now it's a sign. Now it's over. The other one is just because of the close proximity of the digitizing and visual stands. So that's the reason why this sign is not so much as, not wanting to allow it. It's just there's multiple avenues. If we can't allow, it's multiple pieces that need to be allowed for this sign to be there.
Would we need to separate it so it's on two separate poles for it to be allowed?
I think I can't definitively say, but I do know that as long as if they're not 600 feet from each other. So if you do move them, they are definitely farther away from each other. So that could be an alternative.
That's about $40,000 to do that.
I clearly understand that.
And
however,
I mean,
They can't be 600 feet apart.
Yeah.
Because the lot's only 200 feet.
Mhm.
So,
I mean, I'm fine talking and discussing signage another day. We will be glad to come back and present that if that's what Kane so chooses. But I did have the anticipation from talking with Skylar and Kyle that we were submitting for the variance. So just to be very clear that I did anticipate having signage heard today.
they're two different variances.
And I do understand that, but that was why we included the sign package. So that's just maybe something that we can work on clearing up of what is needed, because that wasn't something we were anticipating.
Mhm.
Mr. Zimmer,
yes, sir.
if I may, please.
Yes.
So I'm gonna make a motion.
Well, wait, we're not ready for that
You're
yet.
not ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I just want to make sure there's no other questions or comments from board members. If there's not, then I have to open it for public comment.
That's right.
Is there any public comment related to this petition that anybody wants to speak to? Is there any viewers? No? Nobody else is here? Okay, public comment is closed. So now I guess we are open to hearing a motion, but remember it has to include the conditions that Sylvia has described in her report.
I'll make a motion for petition B 103-23 for Raising Cane's located at 5,000 Franklin Street for an approval. The motion is to include the conditions that were brought before from the planning department, also to include the planning department's report, the attorney's report, and with a second comment that I hope that you will be back next month with the variance for the signage.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. So
I'll call for the vote. Mr. Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Klender,
Yes.
Ms. Stransky,
Yes.
Ms. Van,
Yes.
and Mr. Zimmer.
yes.
Petition approved.
So thank you for being here. Best of luck. Thanks for coming to our town. We look forward to having you at your business in Michigan City. And I'm sure we can come to some
Come back.
mutual agreement on the signage.
Yeah, we have a chicken finger and Texas toast.
I hear good things about it. I know people that they say it's a great place, so I'm excited to head here, so.
Yeah, thank you all.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Next item is the old business addendum item. Is approval of findings and orders from our last meeting, petition B 101-23. And then we'll have another one also, right? So there's two of them? Okay. So Sylvia, are you going to read that? I don't know. You're going to just summarize what they are? And
He
then-
told me to read specific part. So it's basically just summarizing the petition. Where is that? That's not have to read it. The approval of petition 802 Manhattan Street, Michigan City, Indiana. It was heard June 13th, 2023. The petitioner, Darren Kalitha, he would like to utilize his B2 zone home as a residential home. The petitioner was given parameters for his driveway, which we recommended that he put in different location. And that was generally it about his. He just wanted to utilize his residential property, utilize his business, his B2 property as residential in a B2 zone. Based upon the petition, the presentation of the petitioner, all documentation, testimony, remonstration, and other matters brought forth in public hearing, and all materials documented and testimony set out in record of this matter and subjected to the conditions set forth in paragraph 7 above, the Michigan City Board of Zoning Appeals made the findings set out above and granted petition number B-101-23 on June 13th, 2023. Probably should just read that part, right?
Okay, so is there a motion to approve these findings and orders?
Yes, I move to approve the findings in order for petition B-101-23.
I'll second that.
I'll call for the vote. Mr. Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Klinder,
Yes.
Ms. Stransky,
Yes.
Ms. Vance,
Yes.
and Mr. Zimmer.
Yes, thank you.
Approved.
Kind of time limits do they have on putting in that new driveway from Manhattan Street?
They have a year.
A year?
Yeah, a year from today, actually. Yeah, because they'll have it recorded today, a year.
So you ready for the next one?
But he is already started. He's already started. So next we have a use variance and a developmental standards variance for 607 Center Street, Michigan City, Indiana. He wants to utilize his residential property as a B2 for the use of a athletic center and a to-go restaurant. We recommend that the petitioner place 2 parking spaces to the south of his existing structure. Now, therefore, based upon the petition, The presentation of the petitioner, all documentation, testimony, remonstration, and other matters brought forth in the public hearing, and all materials documented and testimony set out in the record for this matter and subjected to the conditions set out in paragraph 7 and 10 above. The Michigan City Board of Zoning Appeals made the findings set above and granted petition number B-102-23 on June 13th, 2023, as of which is affirmed. Well, I don't know yet.
Okay, is there a motion to approve this, these findings and orders?
Yes, I make a motion to approve the approval findings and orders for petition B-102-23.
Next second.
I'll call for the vote. Mr. Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Klinder,
Yes.
Ms. Stransky,
Yes.
Ms. Van,
Yes.
and Mr. Zimmer.
Yes.
Approved. There's no more old business.
All right, thank you. Any new business this evening? Any public comment? No public, it's a comment.
I don't have any new business, but have you guys seen the storage station? My very first petition is up. Yes.
Oh, behind the store safe?
Yes,
Yeah.
it
That's a very nice facility.
is.
Yeah.
They're just coming together.
Mhm.
What's that?
The store safe?
Right across from Ames Field,
Mhm.
you know, the old Al's was
Yeah.
converted to a store.
Yeah,
They put a big addition in the back.
Damn.
Mhm. Looking very good.
Yeah, they started. Because they're hitting their year.
So if there's no other comments, questions, then we are adjourned until our meeting in September.